pretty crazy because even some social media apps now have almost like a little AI person. I never use this app anymore, but I've seen it on Snapchat now. There's like an AI thing that adds you, and it just reaches out and says, "Oh, I'm just here to talk whenever you need it," which is kind of creepy but crazy at the same time.
Oh,
So
that's another way to define AI.
Hello, welcome to the Awesome Intelligence Podcast. Today we have two guests, Elvis and Barbara. They have extensive experience of over 10 years in marketing and sales. And today they're going to talk about how they are using artificial intelligence in their product, Artificial Closers, where they sell AI bots to do sales and marketing for solopreneurs and small businesses. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, Google, and YouTube. And thank you for listening. Right. Hey, welcome everyone to the Awesome Intelligence Podcast. Today we have Elvis and Barb from Artificial Closers. And today we're going to talk about how they're using AI for their business. And we're going to talk about how AI is changing the landscape of marketing and sales. So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, Deb, thanks for having us.
thank you so much for
Awesome.
having us.
Awesome. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves separately? Because you guys are definitely sort of different kind of demographic from what the kind of people I usually interview who are doing core AI work. And you guys are definitely a business case of AI. So please, if you guys will introduce yourselves, that would be awesome.
Yeah, my name is Barb. Like you mentioned earlier, I have been in the AI space with my partner Elvis, partner in life, partner in business, since the beginning of the year. We transitioned out. I'll let him introduce himself, obviously, but we transitioned out of working in a corporate environment just because we saw all these cool AI tools coming in and figured there was so much that we could explore and also just dive into, because why not get ahead of it and have our own business with our own clients that we can help support in the way that we think would help their business thrive with all these tools and resources, especially because in the beginning so many people were fearful, thinking it would replace jobs and things like that. But we've always said this, that if we lived in fear, we would be kind of like the last ones on the boat, and we figured if we got ahead of it, we can help support maybe even the people that were losing their jobs with these tools. So yeah, it's been about since February, so just about 8-10 months or so.
Yeah, and prior to that, and my name is Elvis. So we met in the corporate environment, and I invented a product about 4 years ago, and that's actually kind of like the gateway of leaving the corporate world. It's called Pump Out. It's a reusable gas glove, sticks on your gas tank door. And she helped me a lot while growing the business. And the number one thing that we saw is, sales and marketing is everything. It doesn't matter how great of a product you have. If you don't understand sales and marketing and you don't understand how to operate at the highest level,
True.
then you're not going to be able to compete, especially in today's world. And the way that you compete at the highest level with sales and marketing is that you got to find ways to incorporate artificial intelligence into your systems and processes. So that's one of the things that we've been focusing on more, like the educational side of understanding what is really happening with artificial intelligence, what are the problems that we're seeing with AI,
Yeah.
and what are going to be some of the solutions. In other words, we're very deep into like trying to discover and understand the future so that we can solve problems of the future with education. That's
100%.
where we stand now.
That's brilliant. So there's one question that I ask almost everyone because the answer varies from person to person. And the question is, what is AI, right? And everybody gives me a different answer. So I'm going to ask you the same question. And it would be better if both of you give a separate answer about your perspective on AI.
So AI is intelligence. And when it's artificial and there's a finite amount, an infinite amount, there's not a finite amount. It's not like there's a limited amount of AI, that means it means it's intelligence at a bargain, intelligence at a very affordable rate, which the rate right now is zero. So when you think about AI, it's just giving anybody the opportunity to operate at the highest level. That's what we think about when we think of AI. And then there's two parts of it, right? There's the conditional AI, where it's more like, what we've seen before in the past. And then there's more the AI that we're seeing now, where it actually uses like logic and reasoning, which is more along the lines of like human intelligence. So that's pretty much what we're seeing. When we understood that that's what's coming into the market, it's like, okay, then that means the value that people provide to organizations using their own personal intelligence may be replaced at some point or another.
Interesting. Barb, do you want to go?
Yeah, so to me, I guess it's sort of the same but different. I think also just almost like having like an unlimited box of tools and resources at your fingertips. Just having almost like I think of AI, not defining it, but I think almost like a virtual assistant that knows everything to everything. So it's like having something that you can always count on, always rely on, as long as you have Wi-Fi and you're able to connect, which obviously nowadays is literally anywhere. And even so, some tools you don't even need Wi-Fi for, I feel like, right?
Well, eventually we're not gonna, like, ChatGPT is gonna operate fully eventually without network connection.
Yeah, you don't even need Wi-Fi. Obviously, you can use. Point being, besides the point, that's not the most important way I define it. But I think that it is something almost like having a best friend in your pocket that you can ask anything and everything to, which is pretty crazy because even some social media apps now have almost like a little AI person. I never use this app anymore, but I've seen it on Snapchat now. There's like an AI thing that adds you, and it just reaches out and says, "Oh, I'm just here to talk whenever you need it," which is kind of creepy but crazy at the same time. So
that's another way to define AI. Creepy, weird. It's like 100%. Unknown.
Yeah, it's a lot of unknowns, but I think we embrace it. We think it's almost like I said earlier. There's ways you can see it. You can see it as like, this is creepy and weird, and the government knows too much. I don't know. Or you can see it as, this is creepy and weird, but and maybe uncomfortable, but anything that has to do with growth and challenge and development only comes into places you've never been to before. So
well put. Yeah.
Interesting, because AI is basically an algorithm from my perspective, because that's the perspective of a computer scientist. And we have been living with AI for a long time. And you mentioned virtual agents and chatbots, stuff like that. That's sort of the personalization of AI. And AI has been in existence for almost over 10 years, but not until it was personalized, people didn't realize before that they were interacting with AI. So now the interaction is much more visible. I'm going to say much more tangible. And that is something has been in research for a long time as well. Like, what's the best way for humans to interact with AI? So that has changed over the last decade as well. So that is something very interesting when you guys put it in those words. So when did you guys realize that you need to adopt AI for your business? Both of you have been in sales and marketing for a long time. So when did you guys realize that it's time to pivot into adopting AI and adopt AI technologies?
I think that we realized that we were going to need it when we realized that we wanted to scale our business, and we realized that we can only do so much if we don't have support. And at the time, being in the novice stages of our business, we just couldn't afford help. And we realized that with all these tools and resources, there's so many people who are scaling their business using AI. So why not do it ourselves and be able to scale our business without having to dump so much weight or so much money into maybe hiring someone at that time, which just wasn't available to us.
Yeah. And so also, there is there is the idea like we always want to optimize like for the future. So we're constantly thinking, okay, like, you know, whatever decisions we make for our business today must align with the future that we see. And, you know, I believe like this is something I've actually been really monitoring too for the past like maybe 7 years or so.
Yeah.
Because I really did always believe that eventually AI will replace a lot of jobs. For example, like, you know, doing sales for a long time. I worked in the corporate world, and
Yep.
sales, if you think about sales, it's just you got lead generation, you got lead conversion.
Yep.
And I was on, you know, the closing part and going out and meeting people. But when it came to inbound leads, there's normally a marketing division in big corporations. And what's funny is like the people that generate leads and the ones that close deals, they keep those two departments very separated. I didn't realize later on, I was looking back, I'm like, wait, you know, if there's already an automated way to generate leads, and then there's ways to get those leads into chatbots, and then there's ways to condition those chatbots to have a personalized conversation based off of what you would be saying. The only thing missing there is the chatbots having more of a mind of its own. And then if the possibility of the chatbot having a mind of its own is optimizing towards like being smarter and smarter, basically, which that's what's going on, right? You know, you train these language models, they keep on getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
Then the inevitable outcome is eventually there will be chatbots that could sell any product or service better, faster, and cheaper than any human can. And like that's our vision, right? So if that's our vision, and that's what, you know, we're scaling our business, we want to optimize towards the vision that we see, and the vision that we see has everything to do with not having sales employees and finding out how to be the people that actually know how to create these sales bots that could sell stuff for you automatically. So, you know, it kind of started off as us wanting to scale. We had a marketing agency doing lead generation, so we wanted to scale really efficiently. But then we also noticed like we need to do this because it's an inevitable future either way. And I think that's one of the biggest messages that we want to try to share to people, that doing things the old way might get you far right now or maybe over the next couple of years. But in the non so distant future, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be competing at a very high level because, like I said, there's an infinite amount of AI and it's accessible to anybody. So, you know, if we want longevity and we want peace and progress for the rest of our lives, then we got to make sure that we're operating at a high level. That's, you know, standard.
My question would be, what extra benefits do you get by incorporating AI into your sales bots or sales and marketing? Is it speed? Is it efficiency? What is it that
all of the above.
And
Yeah.
how does it do it? Like, is it better personalization for the leads that you were trying to generate? Or just take me through the process of what was the old way before AI and how much easier, faster can you generate and convert your leads into sales now using AI?
Yeah, so the process for automating a sales process, we like to look at it like there's 4 buckets. The first one is, how do we get the most amount of attention at the lowest possible cost? So the most amount of impressions, for example, social media.
Yeah.
Then the next one is, how do we get the most amount of, and that basically goes into clicks. Like, how do we get the most amount of clicks at the lowest possible cost? Which that part alone is just requires a lot of testing and a lot of creative minds putting work together. So you can either hire a bunch of freelancers, you can hire employees, you can hire creative directors, or you can just create prompts and work with ChatGPT and then translate those messages, because it's all just creating value in every single step. So the first step is gaining attention. Next step is generating a lead, right? So once somebody clicks, how do we create value in a landing page to get people to opt in and want to submit their information, right? So that's important. We gotta make sure we're testing a lot of different variables there. Then the next part is, once a lead comes in, we have automation set up so chatbots could start talking to these leads. So then there lies a lot of creativity within testing a lot of different variables to get the highest possible appointment rate, right? And then the last piece is, how do we create an entire sales process by finalizing the sales process and having a chatbot that can actually close deals at a high percentage? So it's all percentages. So you can operate every single one of those 4 steps at just like a 1% click-through rate, 20% opt-in rate, let's say 20% appointment show rate, and then maybe a 30% close ratio. Those ratios are entirely manipulated through your ability to be able to test more creative content. And that ability costs a lot of money. And
Yes.
now it doesn't. So now you can move faster, you can move more affordably. I guess that's pretty much like how we started to understand that the hardest part about scaling any business or starting any business is not starting a business. Anybody can start a business, right? There's a lot of people that say, like, we use this analogy, it's like they'll create a Shopify store and then they'll put a bunch of hats, right? Let's say they want to start a hat business. They put a bunch of hats in there, and then they're like, hey guys, support my business. But then they don't know how to get people to the website, right? So it's like, what's the point of having, you don't really have a business. You just have a bunch of hats, right? The hardest part of business, the biggest reason people fail in business is because they don't know how to get sales. They don't know how to get people to find out about what they do and how they help people. So now AI is giving the education, right? It's giving the guidance. You can literally ask, hey, how do I set up a hat store? It'll give you step by step everything you need to do. But then the harder part, how do I get people to my hat store? It'll give you step by step everything you need to do. And then now that you don't require, you don't need to hire people, you don't need to develop that skill, which is one of the biggest skills that people don't have, and that's why they fail in business, which is leadership skills. They can now operate an entire one-person business. That's big. That's why we believe most people will have businesses in the future, because we see it. We see, even if they don't want to start a business, they can just create their chatbots and sell other people's shit, basically.
True. Especially with the current economic situation, when there are a lot of layoffs. I think the only way to take yourself out of financial distress is to start a business. There is literally no other way of doing this. You have to start a business at this point. Otherwise, you will be in deep trouble. What I like about your content is that both of you are trying to educate people about AI, which is really awesome, something I aspire to do as well. So tell me about your idea of, how AI has changed the landscape of jobs. And you guys talk about skill insecurity as opposed to job insecurity. And please take us through the idea of skill insecurity, how that plays into the lives of people who are thinking about adopting AI, kind of skeptic about adopting AI, scared of adopting AI, sort of target them as you speak about skill insecurity and why they should adopt AI.
Well, when you have the skill insecurity, thinking that, if you'll lose your job to AI, I think that at this point it is sink or swim. It's maybe you will if you don't get ahead of it and try to find ways where you can elevate your skill set with AI. So I think that there's a misconception where maybe if it's something that AI could easily replace, that people should already be fearful, thinking I might be next, when they do the next job cuts or things like that. So I think that people need.
Yeah. No, I'm listening.
Oh, I thought you said something.
No.
I think that people need to learn how to adopt these tools and be able to get ahead of it and be able to know, how can I be more of value, if anything, meaning the new tools that are out there, before your employer ever learns about them, or before the business you work for, the corporation you work for, learns about them, know what resonates the most with your skill set, know what you can be using, because there's now, I think, even industry-based, there's a ton of resources that are AI-based per industry, not just ChatGPT, right? So meaning if you can learn all of those, as soon as you find out that maybe your job could be replaced, and instead kind of use those tools to say, now, instead of replacing me, I could do my job 10 times faster, more efficient, which can bring the business more money because I adopted these tools. So I think it's all about, like I said earlier, getting ahead of the game with AI and seeing like you could be a way greater asset to your employer or to your own business if you learn how to adopt these tools quickly and then scale yourself and your business or your employer's business by learning how to use everything and doing, instead of 5 tasks a day, for example, 25 tasks a day.
Yeah, you just become more efficient, you become more valuable. If you become more valuable, you can ask for more money. If you become more valuable by increasing your revenue, your own personal income, but decreasing your work hours, now you can offer your same service to more people. And that's, in other words, like, don't be afraid of AI replacing you. You know, before AI replaces you, find out how you can replace yourself. You know, you can
100%.
use AI to replace, you know, just get ahead of it, basically. Because what's going to happen is it's driven through the monetary incentive of entrepreneurs that are building AI companies. And those entrepreneurs are going to the CEOs and they're saying, hey, and they go to CEOs first because, you know, if you sell to like the bigger companies, you're going to make a lot more money. You solve rich people problems, you make rich people commission checks. So that's why it's this big emphasis on the value going towards like business owners. And before an entrepreneur goes into that company and says, hey, we can replace these employees, or you can now operate with just one of them, you can be that one to go in first and say, hey, I found this tool, you know, we can try it out. We can create what they call a case study. And then you provide value, you build the case study. Now you can go to anybody else in the same industry and say, hey, I did this for the company that I work for. We should try it out. I can do it for you too. It works. Look at the results. But and I think to answer your main question too, which, like, this all sounds cool. It sounds like a cool idea, right? Oh man, you know, that sounds cool. I should try it one day. People might think that when they hear this, but there is urgency behind it. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. The urgency is that people think there's a job security issue, but it's a skill security issue. I think that's what you're saying, right? So it's, the insecurity here is like, there's no security of knowing that your job is going to be around. And people are treating it like if it was 2008, but the problem was in 2008, jobs came back. So people are a little bit more calm, you know, worst case scenario, part of the 50% that might get laid off. But it's, you know, normally if history repeats itself, things turn out okay. But it's not a job security issue that we're dealing with. It's a skill security issue that we're dealing with. And we've never seen anything like this before. So if we're going into a world where skills are being replaced, that means people's ability to create value is being replaced. That means their certainty is being replaced. That means what they would normally use to trade for income, to provide for their food, water, shelter.
Yeah.
That's being replaced. And there's no signs of that coming back because AI is here to stay. So
It's pretty crazy to think about it. We've never been in a time like this before. And like, I think AI is going to start, if it didn't already evolve on its own.
Yeah.
So
it is. It's optimizing on its own. So not just that, there's a big reward, right? You know, think about how many millionaires are going to come out of artificial intelligence companies that are being created with the sole purpose of replacing human value.
True.
Right? Think about the army of people that are coming into the market. And guess what happens? When people make money, people find out about people that make money. And they start doing the same shit. Right? So it's a snowball effect. There's a very big reward for us to move this really fast. So then the message to employees is like, hey, don't freak out. Now you can use these tools to start your own business. And on top of that, you want to start now. You don't want to like put this on hold because this is moving really fast because it's driven through that monetary incentive. And when you lose your job, you're not going to be able to find another one. You're going to have, like, that's how you got to assume. You got to think that's going to be the case. And then the only route is entrepreneurship, which it's okay. It's getting easier to become an entrepreneur. You can do this. That's basically our message. Like that's what we're trying to share with the world.
That's awesome. Something that bothers me a little bit is the fact that, you know, of course, there will be job loss. That is inevitable because that's what happened when internet came out as well. A lot of people lost their jobs because now we have much faster automation of a lot of manual work that we don't have to do anymore. and that's how industry progresses. That's how technology progresses. So that's part of the game. But at the same time, like you said, it's happening now at an unprecedented rate that we have never seen before. A lot of people have lost their jobs already. For example, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a writer's strike going on in the film industry because AI is replacing all the writers, and BuzzFeed fired a bunch of writers from their offices. The studios are firing. They were firing before the strike. They were firing the writers because ChatGPT was writing the storylines and whatnot. So that was crazy. And now, what ended up happening is that writers are on strike, which means the production is closed, and a lot of people who were working in the studios have lost their jobs as a snowball effect, which means we have to find a way to sort of include people into the ecosystem as well, and at the same time use AI. So what do you think is the best way to solve that problem? Because if you start replacing everyone with AI, that idea will sort of, that way it will sort of eat itself. The industries will eat themselves. That's gonna happen, which is what we are seeing in the film industry as well, because they started replacing people with AI. The industry sort of shut down completely. So
They're just trying to survive. The industries are trying to survive. Like the only thing that needs to happen is not the big corporations. It's not their fault. They got to keep up with market demand. They got to keep up with all of the attention grabbers that are out there, because that's what the film industry is. It's all just their ability to gain attention. But now anybody has that ability, so they need to find the most efficient ways to get more attention. They got to cut costs, because if not, other people will be able to use those tools and they're going to overpower them. So the people that are on strike, honestly, like, the message is they got to wake the up and realize that nobody owes them anything. Like, the whole idea that everybody is owed a salary or everybody is owed a job, this is all very in the lifespan of humanity. Things are changing. Like, we're going into a time where people don't owe anybody anything. Like, you got to learn how to do business on your own. And here's the thing: if you're an actor, you're a film writer, you're a content creator, why are you complaining and trying to get money from these big corporations? Get yourself on social media. You already have the only skill that you need. So, like, they got to wake up. They got to realize, like, hey, they don't owe you anything. And the inevitable truth is a lot of those big companies are going to go under. So what? They're going to try to get a salary for the next couple of years and then get laid off either way because the company goes under. It's like, dude, be proactive and start taking accountability for your own life, because nobody owes you anything. That's my message. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same.
I know
Not
you.
the same, but I was thinking.
That's why we're together. We agree with a lot of the shit.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of like a double-edged sword, blaming AI, because you can either, it's possible that you are blaming AI for taking your job because you are incompetent, or you genuinely believe that.
All right, what's the outcome? They go on strike, they blame AI, and then everybody says, okay, let's cancel AI. It's not going anywhere. So what's the point of fighting a war that you're not going to be able to win? It's
interesting.
There's a lot of entitlement in the world right now, and that's going to create a lot of problems. So people need to start realizing that there is a brighter future, and it starts by everybody just taking their own responsibility for their own lives and not depending on other people, but learning that these tools they're a gift. These tools are a gift to us.
That is true,
right? They're a gift, and a lot of people are using them for greed, which is fine. But the access to information, the access of application of these tools, of knowing how to apply them in your own life, it's all out there. So why the fuck? Everything's amazing. Why is everybody complaining? Let's start working proactively.
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, I guess. Yeah. Lack of self-belief too. I'm sure there's a lot of people that just don't believe in themselves. And that's what it is too. Even if you think you suck, even if you think you're not able to start your own business, okay, at least believe that there's a tool that could help you. Right?
That is true. Okay, that is an awesome discussion. I wanted to sort of talk about that because pretty soon the AI is going to be politicized, and there will be a lot of narratives. So it's good to get our opinions out there. That's awesome. Well, since we are approaching the end of the podcast, do you guys want to part us with some ending thoughts that you guys want to give a message to our viewers or listeners?
You want to go first?
Let's say.
All right, I'll share. So Barb and I, we've been working really, really hard. We've been doing a lot of writing and thinking, trying to predict the future, because that's really all we can do. We can't go back to the history books. It's something we've never seen before. The only way we can actually predict what's going to happen is through writing and to really formulating our own thoughts and opinions and not listening to anything else that's out there, because we don't know who to trust these days. So our mission right now is just to spread a lot of awareness. We are going to be doing a lot of free coaching. Our free coaching is mainly going to be like on our social media sites. We don't want to take people to webinars or anything like that. We just want to share our mission, share our vision, and hopefully it aligns with everybody else's values, which what we value the most is just peace and progress for the rest of our lives. And we notice that the only way that we get peace and progress in our lives is if the entire world has peace and progress as well. So we can use these tools for greed, or we can use them for good. And we're really, really trying our best to use them for good. So if you guys want to follow us, Barb, share your handle.
You know what I say?
Go for it.
No,
Go for
I
it.
just always,
Brazilian Fit Barbie.
you got the Brazilian Fit Barbie. So if you want to learn more about AI
Instagram?
and spirituality, yeah,
Is that on
that's
Instagram?
that's her Instagram. And then mine is Elvis.Pardal, which I need to change it up because I need to rebrand myself and get something a little bit more creative. But yeah, thanks for having us on. And if you or anybody that listens to this just needs any guidance or any advice, we're always here to help, and we're just looking to connect with people and continue sharing our message.
Brilliant. Awesome. With that, we're going to end our podcast today. You can listen to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and we are also on AI Podcast Network, which is a new network of all the AI podcasters. That will be in the bio as well. And I will put the links of your content in the bio of this podcast as well. So awesome. See you guys on the next one.
Thanks a lot.